My number one thing for Superflex rookie drafts is quarterbacks will always hold value longer than any other position. And that doesn't mean you just need to go out and grab quarterbacks with all your picks. But if you're picking at, say in Superflex, I think there's a couple teardrops. Uh, let's say early second round. Okay. I think there's a pretty good teardrop, at the end of the first, early second round this year. So say you're sitting at this 202, 203, something like that. All the running backs you wanted, all the wide receivers you wanted are off the board. Maybe Malik Willis has gone off the board. Maybe Desmond Ritter gets top 15, 20 draft capital. He's off the board too. But Kenny Pickett is still sitting there with first round draft capital. You might not need a quarterback. You might not even want a quarterback. You might not even like Kenny Pickett. And if you don't like Kenny Pickett, you should go talk to Mike because he'll let you know just how good Kenny Pickett is. If you're looking at the rest of your queue and it's a running back with fourth round draft capital who right now is like maybe the RB2 on their team, but more likely RB3 to start the season. And the wide receivers left are guys who, you weren't a big fan of. You didn't get the guy you wanted. Don't reach for those positions just because they're the sexier positions for fantasy football. Take the value at quarterback, because if Kenny Pickett absolutely fails for 4 years, he's still Daniel Jones. And you can still trade Daniel Jones for something worthwhile, which is crazy because he's failed for 4 years in a row. But first round draft capital on a quarterback means that value does not go away anytime soon, unless you're Josh Rosen. And then I'm sorry. But most of the time, these guys continue to have value. I mean, Sam Darnold got dropped by his team basically when they picked Zach Wilson, but he still had value up and down throughout the season last year for the Panthers. If you don't like the quarterback that's dropping, but there's no one else that really is of value, pick up the value at quarterback. Hold on to it, because you can move it. You can always move it. And quarterbacks hold their value. So it's just a smart play. Now, if there's someone that you like, grab those guys. I'm not saying you have to go after a quarterback because they're more valuable. But I'm saying if you're stuck and you don't really know what to do, and there's a quarterback sitting there, but you just don't really want that quarterback, it's probably better to take the quarterback and then see what happens moving forward. Between your rookie draft and the season actually starting, there's probably a month or two that you could move that quarterback. You could make some trades. There's plenty of time to make moves. It doesn't always have to be during your rookie draft. Don't get flustered. Don't make the wrong pick. Don't reach.
So we're going to kind of go off of what Nate said. You're going in a slightly different direction. So what are your thoughts on super flexes here?
Well, you got to have a guy like Jonathan Taylor. And it's like, okay, super flex. Everybody wants to take a quarterback first only because of super flex. But you're passing on generational talent type of guys. I think that's the mistake that we have. When it comes down to Superflex, though, so I think some people want to say, oh, I need a quarterback. I need the best quarterback here. But then if you're passing on a team, your team needs, like you may need a Jameson Williams. You may need a Brees Hall. I'm just saying, take what you need for your team, which is best available for your team, and move forward. I think some people just decide to go quarterback happy when it comes down to super flex, say I need this, but it might not be a particular need for your team, not for a startup, but just for like maybe your second or third year into this certain dynasty team. I think Nate is basically saying, I understand what Nate's saying as well. When it comes down to your quarterbacks are falling in the draft, and it's okay, this is a good value here. I'm going to take this, and I know a guy might take this, and then we can flip it that way. I'm not saying don't take a quarterback. I'm just saying just be mindful for what you need for your team, and don't just take quarterback just because it's a quarterback for a super flex.
And I think that's important. So Pork saying that quarterback doesn't always mean that they are the best player. There's quarterback doesn't mean two quarterback. And I think that's important too, because everyone associates Superflex with two quarterback, and it's not the same thing. So you're saying don't force quarterback just because of Superflex. So Nate, now this touches on your other point that Bob really wanted you to make. Nate, what is your secondary point, please?
Yeah, so I hit on this during the war room that we did last, and something I noticed when we got into the third round of rookie mocks, fourth round, even halfway through the second round. We can't be reaching on running backs. Okay. This year, it's not a great running back class. You got Brees Hall, who we like. You got Kenneth Walker, who we like. You got Isaiah Spiller, who I think most of us still like. You got a big three there. After that, there's a big jump to a bunch of mid-tier running backs who at that point, I like some guys, I don't like some guys, you guys like some guys, you guys don't like some guys. But at the end of the day, a lot of it's going to come down to opportunity and volume. And if these guys are getting drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, they are not really worth your 2nd round pick, your 3rd round pick. Not when there is a ton of talent at wide receiver this year. And once again, those guys going back to value, wide receivers hold value longer than running back. You have a running back that fails, they are the easiest position to replace in football. So if Trey Sermon, no more value. Wide receivers who fail, Terrace Marshall. Who would you rather have, Terrace Marshall or Trey Sermon?
I would say Terrace.
I'd say Terrace Marshall.
You're swinging for upside, you're swinging on Terrace Marshall for sure. Yeah, because it's a wide receiver. And it just goes back to the same value thing. When you're in your rookie drafts, and I agree with Pork, go get your guy. I'm all about going and get your guy. So if your guy's there and you just really, really love one of these mid-tier running backs, get him. Be happy. Fantasy football is about being happy. It's about winning, making money too, but it's about being happy. We spend a lot of the time on this. Even if you win $100 for your league, you spent so many hours on it that you're paying yourself like $1 an hour. So you might as well be happy. Don't reach for guys that you don't like just because they're running backs. This class is not the class to do that. Maybe next year, could have done it last year, the year before that, but not this year. Don't reach for running backs in the 2nd, 3rd round. Take the wide receivers, take the following quarterbacks. Heck, maybe even grab a tight end if they get good draft capital and a good opportunity. There's some value sometimes. There's guys I have valued as 3rd round. And if I can get them at the end of the 3rd or early 4th, then sure, I'm good with that. But if you see a run on running backs and there's already been like 3 or 4 taken that round, most likely at that point you're reaching with this class.
Landing spots are important, but we don't need to make landing spots so important that we move guys way down our draft board just because they got drafted by a team. We've seen this with A.J. Brown, where he goes to a team at Tennessee, where I don't remember who was all on their wide receiver core, but he had to have been probably number 1 going into that. If I had to imagine, he's probably the guy there.
People were upset because Mariota was there.
I moved A.J. Brown after having him number 1 in my rankings, and definitely it bit me. Maybe I don't remember who was in the draft that year. Maybe it was Arcega-Whiteside that bumped up because he went to the Eagles, and it was such a great landing spot because they didn't have anybody or whatnot. But we can't make it so important landing spot wise. We have to trust our gut, trust what we've watched on film, trust what we see rather than just going on what landing spot they go to. Because like Tennessee wasn't the greatest landing spot, but look at A.J. Brown. He's a guy that's getting peppered with targets when they're not running the football, as he might be the only guy there sometimes that is making plays for that team. Also, CEH. We saw CEH just explode up boards where he was maybe the 4th, 5th, 6th running back on your board before draft, and he bumped up to the Chiefs. We have to realize what talent is on that team beforehand. Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback there. Maybe it is a great spot. Maybe he's going to drop the ball down. Maybe they're going to give CEH a lot of run. No, they just paid this guy $40 million. They want him to throw the football and be the one taking over the game. Now, landing spot is important. Obviously, we're talking about these 3rd round running backs that we're going to be taking. If they go to a team that already has 2 or 3 running backs in the pen just waiting to go, if they go to Dallas, I'm not going to be super thrilled. If they go to a team that is just Derrick Henry, I'm not going to be super thrilled if somebody goes to Tennessee. Maybe there's a backup role to be had, but if Derrick Henry doesn't get injured, your guy's not getting any points. My take for this is don't let landing spot detour you from these prospects that you really love already and that you see highly.
I agree. I like that a lot. And I think A.J. Brown is the prime example of that too. You hit the nail right on the head there. I did the same thing, Chev. Makes you feel any better. I had him pretty high. And then once he got drafted to Tennessee, I was like, nope, I'm out. And I regret it too, because there was a lot of chances I could have had him, and I don't. And I do regret that a lot. So before we get to my mistake, I want to say the biggest mistake that you can make in your rookie drafts, though, is not heading on over to patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind and gaining access to all the perks we offer, such as rookie rankings, community Discord group chat, and much more. Patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. And now it is time for my advice. What not to do. Don't stray from your board and don't overdraft based on need. That's why I now have Keyshawn Vaughn on a lot of rosters, because I thought he was going to be something. And I took him, Pork, I think one league at like the 106 or something like that.
Yeah, it was 106 or 107, I believe.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, yeah, we all thought he went to a good landing spot, and you reached, and because that was your guy, that was also Garrett's boy. But things happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, they do. So that was a circumstance where, had I taken best player available, my team would be in a much different place. When you're drafting, and here's the thing, I notice a lot of people do this too when they try to make trades. They'll say, well, you don't have a running back 2, or you don't have a wide receiver 3, and it's July. That's great that I don't have those things. I'm not setting a lineup for 2 more months. Let me worry about that. Let me run my roster. Let me do that. So do not draft to fill holes in your team. Now, if it just so happens that you need a wide receiver and you're drafting at the 103, well, then that's a little bit different, because you're going to get a really good wide receiver at the 103. And I'm assuming Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, if those are your guys, they might be off the board depending on league format. So go best available and trade if necessary. And I want to expand on that. You can trade after the fact if necessary. You need a quarterback, but none fall to you. You don't want to reach on a guy. You know what I mean? You don't want to be like, well, all these quarterbacks are gone, so now I better take Bailey Zappi at the 204. You're gonna be in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, man, this one quarterback league, I really need a running back. All the running backs went. So here we go. Pierre Strong, 107. I think he's a sleeper. I don't think he should be drafted at the 107. You know what I mean? So just don't reach for these guys. Stick to your board. And remember, this is one of the benefits about doing online drafts. You don't have 11 other dudes or gals in the room heckling you and pestering you. You have to run your roster. You have to pay your league fees. And I know there's always that one guy that's going to explain to you how every trade is like the holy prophecy that he's handing you. Be like, listen, I have this trade calculator.
Ooh.
And it says that I'm losing this trade exponentially. That's why you need to accept it. You take it and you just throw it away. I'm not going to throw this because phones are expensive, but you can just take it and throw it away. Just run your own roster. You're paying the fee. So stick to your board, trade if necessary. Don't overdraft anybody. Hit up the Patreon. We would love that.
I think another good key is too, like right now, I am not trading for anybody that has a chance to be replaced. There's no way you should be trading right now. Wait till the end of the draft. If you wanted to trade, you should have traded a while back. Now is the time to kind of just sit still and wait a little bit and see where everybody goes. Also, I mean, if you trade draft picks away for the future years, you can always get those back.
But like, listen, if it gives you a chance to contend now, you have a whole year until 2023.
Yeah.
A lot can happen.
I'm not trading those first. I'll tell you that.
No, I want all my 2023 first.
I mean, I wouldn't mind them either.